Okay, so we have sine and cosine functions, which are considered periodic functions. The first part of the sine and cosine function is that you have a what they call cycles. They move in cycles. The periodic function, the length of the period is the one complete full cycle. Here, one cycle of this will be where it goes up and then down, and this is one cycle of it, and it goes in between this point here. So this will be the period. And then from the halfway through the function and down to the maximum, down to the minimum, or halfway through the function up to the maximum, is called the amplitude. Okay, so your sine function on the graph, it goes between 0 and 1. And it makes a snake-like shape. Okay, so what you need to know to recognize a sine function is that it's going to be down and then up. And your amplitude is 1, and your period will always be 2 pi unless it's different. For the sine function, y equals sine theta, your period is 2 pi, your amplitude is 1. For a cosine function, it's going to start at 1. And go in between 1 and 0. I drew that wrong, but let me fix it. I'm just going to sketch it. Okay, so you're going to have a W graph for the cosine function. It's going to be a W graph. Again, the amplitude is going to be 1, and your period is 2 pi. All right, so for changing the amplitude in the period. When you're changing the amplitude in the period, you have the function y equals a sine b theta and y equals a cosine b theta, where theta is in radians, okay? So for the function y equals 3 sine 2 theta, we got to think about this. Your a is equal to 3, and your b is equal to 2 because your b is in front of the theta. Now, when you see regular problems that we might do, it might look like, it might say 3 sine 2x. So in front of the x will be your b, so b equals 2. So your amplitude is the absolute value of a, and your period is 2 pi over the absolute value of b. And remember, the absolute value is distance, so it's always going to be positive. So your amplitude here is the absolute value of 3, and the absolute value of 3 is 3. Your period is 2 pi over b, so 2 pi over the absolute value of b, which is going to be 2. So 2 over 2, the 2's go away. Your period is pi. For this one, you have your amplitude, your a, so a equals 3 over 2, and your b here is 1/3. So your amplitude is 3 over 2. Your period is going to be 2 pi over 1/3, but we don't do a fraction over a fraction. We can't leave it that way. So we make it 2 pi times 3 over 1. We do the reciprocal. 2 times 3 over 1 is equal to 6 pi over 1, which is equal to 6 pi. So your period here is 6 pi. All right, so for the rest, for each of these, all I want you to do, you can graph them in Desmos, and you can sketch the graph, and then just state the amplitude and the period. So I'm gonna do the first 3, and then the rest of them you can do on your own. So for amplitude here, you have your a value, which is 4, so your amplitude is 4. Right here, there's no number in front of this, so that's considered 1. So your period is 2 pi over 1, because remember the period is 2 pi over b. For cosine, there's no number in front of cosine, so that's going to be a given 1. So your amplitude is 1. Your period is going to be 2 pi over 1/2, because your b value is 1/2. So that equals 2 pi times 2 over 1, which equals 4 pi. So your period here is 4 pi. And then again, your a value here is 1/2, so your amplitude is 1/2. And the number in front of the x, or your theta, is 3 here, so your b value is 3, so your period is 2 pi over 3. So for all of those, all you have to do is identify amplitude and period, okay? If you're going to use Desmos and you want to graph these to sketch, and let's say you want to sketch these. So if you're going to sketch these, what you're going to do is, when you get into Desmos, you have to make sure that you switch it to radian. So you're going to click your graph. Let's type it. So we're going to do 4 sine x. Okay, so 4 sine x. That's my function. I just typed in sine, 4 sine x. Okay, I just typed the letters. 4 sine x. That's my function. It gives you a straight line. The graph is not a straight line. It's supposed to curve. So you have to hit this little wrench, hit radians, and then it will curve your graph. And that will give you a stretch, your sketch. If you want to, you can click and you will be able to see the points on the graph. And that way you can be able to plot it the way it's supposed to be. And then you'll be able to plot the points and sketch the graph. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow, and make sure you get all this completed.